I'm online. Let me wait for some time. Waiting for the others who comes to online. Okay, today I'm going to start with share capital or types of the shares. Share capital or types of the shares. First of all, we will go with the types of the share capitals or types of the shares. As far as the types of the shares are concerned, there are 5 types of the shares. One is authorized share capital, issued share capital, subscribed share capital, called up, paid up, and this is all about the summary. After discussion, we will have this summary. Let me first share this link. View channel, share this link. Okay, this is what the authorized capital రేణుక నా హెడ్ ఫోన్ తెచ్చి authorized, issued, subscribed share capital, called up and paid up share capital. Nice guys, 2 are there online. Let me know who is there online. Satish Chandra, Sachit Chandra. He is saying, Sachit Chandra said, okay, thank you, Sachit Chandra. Thanks for coming online. Okay. Ramesh K. Sir Aishwarya, okay. And Sara Tahrin sir, okay. Let me first of all concentrate on the topic much. Thereafter, we will have the question and answer sessions. In case if you are having any doubt up to now, please ask me the questions in the chat room, or else let me continue. See, the share capital. What do you mean by share capital, sir? Why the share capital is required? Say, for example, once the business is established, whether it is a sole proprietor concern or whether it is a company or a partnership firm, capital is required, money is required. So, because of the company, we will learn in the viewpoint of a public company. Public companies generally raise funds, raise their needy capital by issue of shares, debentures, securities to the public. They will gather the amount required for their projects, for their business through the public issues only. Hence, we must have to discuss what do you mean by share capital, how many types of the share capital. See, the correct word here to use, not the types of the share capital, but maybe the stages of the share capital, it is the right one. The stages of the share capital. First of all, I'll come to here to read the text and explain the content after seeing one of the pictorial representation regarding what do you mean by the types of the share capitals. See here, what are the types of the share capitals here. For example, imagine here a big grand theater. That theater, imagine it is a company planning its very first show. First show in the sense it is nothing but it is going to issue the shares. The theater manager had a special license to sell tickets up to 10,000 seats. That means the manager is able to sell 10,000 tickets. Here the 10,000 tickets, we will call it as the maximum amount of the tickets that he can sell. In case in the place of tickets, if we substitute the number of shares, the company is now eligible to issue 10,000 shares. That is the authorized, permitted, registered with ROC. Beyond that 10,000 shares, the company is not eligible to issue to the public until and unless it amends the share capital clause of the Memorandum of Association. But as of now, the total number of the shares that can issue to the public by the company is 10,000. Now, see, here there are 10,000 seats. This 10,000 big number of sheets will be called as authorized capital. Now assume, even though 10,000 sheets are there, the company now would like to sell only 8,000 tickets. 8,000 tickets issued. That means this is the issued capital. The company is eligible to issue 10,000 shares, sir. But right now the company is issuing only 8,000 shares to the public. This is nothing but the issued capital. Now, let me see here. Here the public is going to purchase the tickets. In the sense of the Companies Act, in the sense of the selling of the or issuing of the shares are concerned, we cannot we cannot say that it is a purchase. It can be called as a subscription. That means even though company offered 8,000 shares to the public responded and made applications to purchase, came forward to purchase, to subscribe 6,000 shares only. So this will be called as the subscribed share capital. When the tickets went on sale, 6,000 people decided they really wanted to see the show. That means what? Even though company issued 8,000 shares, the public may not be responded that much. The public responded to the extent of 6,000 shares, and 2,000 shares still are there to be purchased by the public. Now, this concept, this what we call it as issued shares 8,000, subscribed only 6,000. Now, this status will be called as under subscription. Under subscription in the sense the company issued 8,000 shares, but the public showed interest to purchase, to subscribe only 6,000. Under subscription. Assume like this. For example, the company issued 8,000 shares, but the response from the public is up to 10,000 shares. They applied for 10,000 shares. That means overwhelmed response to the company to purchase its shares, to subscribe its shares. That status will be treated as the oversubscription. That status will be called as oversubscription, and these things will be learned later very successful when the topics comes in. But as of now, company issued 8,000 shares, that is the issued share capital. Public subscribed to the extent of 6,000 shares. Now, so this 6,000 shares was the number of seats that the people subscribed to or agreed to buy. That means these 6,000 shares agreed by the people to purchase. This is what we are calling it as a subscribed share capital. And each ticket costs 100 rupees. That is the nominal value, or the issue price is 100 rupees. Now the company intended to sell its share, each share at 100 rupees. But now the company, that means the theater only asked everyone to pay to the extent of 50 rupees. To the extent of 50 rupees in the sense it called up only 50 rupees share capital. It called up only 50 rupees share capital. That means this is the called up share capital. This is what? Called up share capital. That means 8,000 into 50 rupees. Half of the money it was being called up. Now, see what happened. So for 6,000 tickets, company already asked rupees 50 each. That means the company, the theater asked for 3 lakh rupees to pay. It demanded 3 lakh rupees to the subscribers to pay. In case in the place of theater, if we substitute a company. Now, this is called up share capital. That means the company already demanded 50 rupees on each share of 6,000 shares, 6,000 tickets. Now what happened? See here the image. The cash box is filled with money. Let me see what happened. Most people paid, sir. That means out of 50 rupees asked by the company for the 6,000 shareholders, 6,000 subscribers, we cannot say them at this point of time as the shareholder because the company hadn't allotted the shares to them. Because of that reason, we cannot call them as the allottees or shareholders. Just they are the applicants. They paid, mostly they paid. But a few persons hadn't paid. That means the company still, out of the called up 3 lakh amount, it received only to the extent of 2,90,000 shares. This is what the paid up share capital. In case if we go for each and every parameter, 8,000 shares, the company can issue 10,000 shares in its lifetime. It is the authorized capital. But the company issued only 8,000 shares. It is nothing but the issued capital. And later the public subscribed to the extent of 6,000 shares. It is the subscribed share capital. Out of 6,000 shares of 100 rupees each, that means 100 into 6,000, 60,000 rupees. Company called up only 30,000, 3 lakh rupees only called up. I'm sorry, 3 lakh, not 30,000, 3 lakh. Company called up only 3 lakh. Out of 3 lakhs, public paid only 2,90,000 rupees. That is nothing but paid up share capital. See, he is showing that at 2,90,000 rupees in a bubble. This 2,90,000 was the real money that the theater got in hand. The theater means here the company got in their hand, which is called as a paid up share capital. So this is what the thing is. So like a theater getting ready for its big show, a company has different steps to get its money called share capital. Now, let me come to the text explanation. So if you see here the authorized capital, authorized share capital, this is the maximum amount of the share capital that the company can issue. That is 10 lakh rupees, 10,000 shares each 100 rupees. 10,000 shares each 100 rupees. But now the company issued only 8 lakh rupees shares. That means it issued only 8,000 shares, which is called as issued share capital. Now subscribed share capital. Now the public showed interest to subscribe to the extent of 6,000 shares only. That means 6 lakh of share capital. Out of 6 lakh of share capital, the company already asked the shareholders to pay to the extent of 3 lakhs. But the public already paid only 2,90,000 rupees. Thereby authorized capital is equals to 10 lakhs. Issued capital is 8 lakhs. And subscribed capital is 6 lakhs, called up capital is 3 lakhs, and paid up capital is 2,90,000 rupees. This is how the share capital the types of the capitals is going to be classified. Now let me see the types of shares. Sir, we have already discussed share capital types. Now we are discussing share types. Shares are generally of two types, sir. One is the equity share and the other one is the preference shares. One is the equity shares and the other one is the preference shares. Is there any doubt? Could you please go with the doubts here? Don't keep silent. Make a comment, ask the doubts in case if you have. Now, what are the types of the shares? Equity shares as well as the preference shares. Let me first of all go with the preferential shares. Why? Because the equity shares means which is not a preferential share, is an equity share. Now it is very important to discuss about what do you mean by preference share, sir. Preference means what, sir? We are giving priority. Priority over what, sir? Priority over two things. Number one, priority over payment of dividend and priority over not payment, we can say it is a repayment of capital on the event of winding up. On the event of winding up. Let me tell you what it means. For example, let me take this page. Here, sir, assume that company earned for this financial year rupees 1,000 profit. Rupees 1,000 profit. Here, this guy is the preference shareholder, and assume this guy is the I'm sorry, I'm not that good in sketches. Is the equity shareholder. Why I placed equity shareholder behind the preference shareholder? Or in other words, why I placed the preference shareholder before the equity shareholder? Because out of this 1000 rupees profit earned by the company, this guy invested rupees 100 in company, invested rupees 100 in the company by the preference shareholder. The company already promised 10% on investment. That means each and every year this preference shareholder will get the fixed percentage of dividend. Dear students, you may come across with the first and second year of commerce, and if you are the graduate student, you may go with BCom also with accounts. While you are mentioning the share capital, you may mention share capital 10% preferential shares, 20% preferential shares. The meaning of 10% preference shares, 20% preference share means the company will pay a fixed amount on their investment. If a person invested 1 lakh rupee, 10% preference shares, he will get every year 10,000 as dividend. If it is 20%, the same person will get 20,000 rupees as a dividend for his 1 lakh investment. And it will be discussed in detail later. But let me tell you first, what do you mean by the preferential shareholder, how he is prioritized. Now, how much he invested here? 100 rupees. What is the promised dividend to him? 10%. That means out of this 1000 rupees, he will get his 10 rupees first. The first priority goes to the preference shareholder. Then you may ask me a question. Sir, for example, if the total profit by the company is only 10 rupees, now that 10 rupees is going to be taken by preferential shareholder. Now, what is the situation of the equity shareholder? Equity shareholder keep calm because equity shareholder will be treated as the real owner of the company. For example, a guest visits our home, our house. We are having limited amount of the food, and the guest is there with our house. We will serve first to the guest. Then in case food remained, then we will take the food, as we are the hosts, not we are the guests. We will give guests first. So preference shareholder is also like a guest. Hence we will give first amount to him. Later, the total amount, how much is remained after payment of this 10 rupees, this is 9 and 990, not 1090. 990 rupees will goes to equity shareholder. So, for example, assume, sir, next year the company earned 1 lakh or 10 lakh or 1 crore, whatever it may be the amount earned by the company on that year, the preference shareholder will get only his percentage of 10 rupees. Then the remaining entire amount goes to whom, sir? Equity shareholders. So this is the first priority. What is the first priority? In the payment of dividend. We have already discussed. Now, what is the next priority? Assume here the company into liquidation, goes into liquidation. Liquidation is nothing but winding up. Winding up or shutdowns are simply closing its business. Now what what it will do? First, in case of the surplus is there after all the financial payments or settlements, after all financial settlements, if something is there, the first repayment goes to whom? Repayment of capital invested. Capital invested. Sir, how much the preferential shareholder invested in the company as we discussed? He invested 100 rupees. Now, here also the image goes to the preference shareholder first. Next the equity shareholder, sir. So, company realized its assets at, say for example, 2000 rupees realized. First, whatever the investment made by the preferential shareholder, it will be paid to the preferential shareholders first. Then only the equity shareholder will get the amount. Now this is what priority in the repayment. Priority in a repayment of capital. This is what the meaning of preference shareholder. Now let me tell you or show you the text here. Let me show you the text here. And in case if you subscribe to our channel and stick on to our channel, you will have the most benefits that I am going to introduce day by day, time by time. Even at the time of the examination also, you will be benefited a lot by listening the classes again and again, by asking questions online, because this keeping me myself online accessible to the students is forever. Wherever I am, if internet connection is there, I'll be online. Okay, now let me go. What do you mean by preferential shares? Let me set this red color. Okay, the preferential shareholders enjoy preferential rights, priority rights over the equity shareholders. Yes, as we have already discussed in two issues. One is at the time of the dividend, the other one is at the time of repayment of the capital. I think you are very clear regarding these two issues. Okay, at the time of dividend, at the time of repayment of the capital. Now, in preferential shareholders also, there are types of the preferential shareholders. But before doing so, however, preferential shareholders usually do not having voting rights, sir. Usually means sometimes the preferential shareholders will also get their voting right. When they will get their voting rights? When we are discussing about the voting rights of the shareholders, we will discuss under which circumstances the equity shareholders will get the voting rights, and under which circumstances and exceptional issues the preferential shareholders will get the voting right. There will be at that point of time we will discuss all those things, sir. But as of now, assume that the preferential shareholders are not having voting rights. Why? Because they are not the real owners. The real owners are the equity shareholders, because whatever the loss that hits the company, whatever the benefit that enjoys by the company will be enjoyed or will be suffered by the equity shareholders only. And now let me first of all concentrate on types of the preferential shares, sir. This is the types of the preferential shares, not equity shares. There is no types of equity shares, only types of preferential shares are there. The first is the cumulative. Sir, what is the meaning of cumulation? Cumulation? Do anyone answer me? What do you mean by accumulation, accumulation? Participate here, participate. In case if you punch the answer, it makes me enthusiastic that the students are really participating with me. accompanied with me, leave that a small sense to me by making a what we call it as a comment. What is the accumulation? Just a simple question. We are discussing about cumulative preferential shares. Now I am asking you a question. What do you mean by accumulation or cumulation? Sir, it is nothing but assume that in the year of 2024-2025 financial year, there is no profit or there may be a loss. In the 2024-2025 there is no profit or there is a loss. But preference shareholder is already promised by the company to have a fixed rate of dividend, sir. Fixed dividend. Say for example, let me rupees 50 rupees is the fixed dividend that already company promised to him. Because of there is no profit in 2024-2025, company had paid that 50 rupees to the preference shareholder. Now, in 2026 or 2025 and 2026, if the company promised to pay 50 rupees of last year, listen to me carefully, 50 rupees of the amount of the last year and 50 rupees of the current year or 50 rupees of the present year. 50 rupees of the last year, 50 rupees of a current year. So totally he gets 100 rupees of the dividend in 2025-2026. That means in the year when it was not paid because of the no profit or loss, that should be accumulated, added back to the current year's profit, and now in the current year, in the year of 2025-2026, he is getting 100 rupees of the dividend. When on the basis of this promise, if the company issues preference shares, that preferential shares will be treated as cumulative preferential shares. Cumulative preference shares. I think you are perfect regarding this. What do you mean by cumulative preferential shares? In case if you ask me bottom line or a single line answer, cumulative preferential share means in case if the company failed in any year, payment of the dividend, because it is a fixed rate of the dividend promised to preference shareholder, that will be paid in the next year along with that year's dividend. That means the accumulated. Now let me rub the board. That is what the meaning of cumulative preferential shares. Okay. Now, what is the participating or non-participating? Participating or non-participating means, students here, you must have to be careful while you are listening the class. It is very much important to concentrate much on participating. Or non-participating. Sir, assume here there are the preferential shareholders. They get the fixed rate of the dividend. Say for example, that goes 200 rupees. Actually, whatever it may be the profit, whether it is the profit 4,000 rupees is the profit, assume. Usual practice that I am telling you right now is the usual practice. The 200 will be paid to them, to the preference shareholders first. Now, 8, 3. That 3,800 rupees goes to the equity shareholders. This is the normal practice. But the company promised participation. While it is issuing preference shares itself, the company promised to the preferential shareholders that these preferential shares are participating preferential shares. That means what? Now the company said, sir, out of 4,000 rupees profit, first 200 rupees will be paid to preferential shares or shareholders. Next, remaining 3,800 rupees. Out of this 3,800 rupees, 80% will goes to whom? Equity shareholders. Equity shareholders will get 80% of the remaining amount out of 3,800 rupees. Sir, for the simplicity of the calculation, comes around that 80% comes around, say for example, 2,800 rupees. Comes around 2,800 rupees. That means out of the 4,000 rupees profit, first we pay to whom, sir? Preferential shareholders. Preferential shareholders. How much remaining, sir? 2,800. Out of this 3,800 rupees, how much goes to the equity shareholders of 80% of remaining? Assume 2,800 rupees. Still, how much is there, sir? 1,000 rupees profit is remained still with the company. Now, this 1,000 rupees will be shared by preference shareholders plus equity shareholders. That means the preference shareholders, after getting their fixed amount, their promised amount of the dividend, they are still participating in the amounts remained for the equity shareholders. The amount actually goes to the equity shareholders after preferential dividend is distributed, but still out of the share of the equity shareholders, preferential shareholders again getting some share. That is nothing but the participating shares. In case if there is no such rule, there is no such condition, it will be treated as non-participating shares. It will be called as non-participating shares. Sir, can you please explain again? Okay, who is Ramesh K? Ramesh, what would you like to explain me again? I think now Ramesh is not there. Okay. So you get what do you mean by participating shares and non-participating shares also. In case if you ask me a single line answer, after fixed amount is taken by the preference shareholders, out of the share of the equity shareholders, still if the preference shareholders are getting share, then it amounts to participating preferential shares. Now let me go back. So here cumulative participating shares and convertible and non-convertible. Non-convertible is nothing but easy, sir. You have taken shareholder taken say for example preference shares, but later he wanted to convert them into equity shares. If such a chance is given to convert, those shares will be treated as the convertible, or else it will be treated as non-convertible. Nothing is special here. Convertible and non-convertible. Convertible and non-convertible means when the preference shares are able to convert into the equity shares, it is convertible. When it is not possible to convert them like that, it is non-convertible. And redeemable and non-redeemable preferential shares are irredeemable preferential shares, sir. But this concept is fade out. Why? Because now companies are not allowed to issue non-redeemable preferential shares. The preferential shares now must be redeemable. What do you mean by redeemable preferential shares and non-redeemable preferential shares? Redeemable means they have invested, say for example, preferential shareholder invested 100 rupees. Company promised redeemable after 10 years. That means up to this 10 years, the promised dividend he will get out on this investment of 100 rupees. After expiry of the 10 years, he will get back his capital. That means whatever his investment is there in the company, he will get back that investment. But friends, in case if you invest in your company, will you get back the money again from the company? See, if you invest in the shares and you are selling the shares in the share market and you are getting money, it is out of the matter, out of the box. Here what I'm asking you is, you purchased shares from the company, equity shares. Will you surrender the equity shares to the company and get back your money? Absolutely no. But here redeemable preferential shares means you purchased preferential shares from the company for 100 rupees. The company promised to redeem them after 10 years. That means what? Up to 10 years, you will get dividend on your investment on 100 rupees. After 10 years, your 100 rupees investment in the company will be refunded to you. That is nothing but the redeemable preferential shares. So he hadn't specified irredeemable, so that it is redeemable preferential shares we have already discussed. Okay, we have discussed preference shares, cumulative preference shares, non-cumulative, participating and non-participating, convertible and non-convertible. Everything we have completed, sir. And redeemable preferential shares also we have discussed. Very important topics that we have to bear in mind. And differential voting rights and non-differential voting rights. These shares carry differential rights regarding the dividend and the payment and voting powers. That means nothing, sir. For example, let me ask you a simple question. For example, a person joined. For example, a person joined in the company 10 years before, sir. A person joined just 2 months back, sir. I am asking you a simple question. A person joined in a company 10 years before. A person joined in the company 2 months back. Whose word or whose presence will be prioritized, whether 10 years before joined person or 2 months before person? Obviously The 10 years, that means the person who is having most experience on the company, on the premises, will get the prioritization, decision making, and all the things. Likewise, for example, sir, person 1, person 2. Company started in the year of 1995. At that point of time itself, he invested 1 crore. Still, he is raising his investment year by year, time by time. Now, his total investment in the company is 10 crores. This person is sticking on to the company from 1995 to 2025. He is sticking on. He purchased the shares. He transferred those shares in favor of their successors. Now their children is carrying. That means since then it is the second generation or third generation that the shares are possessing, sir. Take the second person in for an example. He just purchased in the year of 2024, sir. Shall we give priority in voting to this guy equally and this guy equally? We can't. Why? Because this guy, that first person, relied upon the company, invested his money, sticked on to the company, traveled along with the company, associated with the company. He never left his belief, or he never, what we call it as, అడికి ఎప్పుడు భయం వేయలేదు, కంపెనీతోనే స్టిక్ ఆన్ అయి ఉన్నాడు. ఆల్వేస్ హీ సిట్స్ విత్ ద కంపెనీ. దెన్ హీ విల్ గెట్ priority in what, sir? Priority in dividend, priority in voting. That means the vote weight is more. He will get 1 vote, and this guy also will get only 1 vote. Both these persons will get only 1 vote only. But the person who is standing with the company since long back will get his priority. That is nothing but the, what we call that as, differential voting rights regarding dividend, regarding repayment, regarding voting power. All are different. Maybe, but it is not mandatory to issue equity shares with differential voting rights and without differential voting rights. Maybe there may be possibility to issue the differential voting rights. Okay, Mr. Ramesh is asking me cumulative preferential shares. Ramesh, cumulative preferential shares is Ramesh, are you there still? Okay, Ramesh, are you there? క్యుములేటివ్ ప్రిఫరెన్షియల్ షేర్స్ అంటే ఏమీ లేదు రమేష్. ఇన్ కేస్ నీకు తెలుగు తెలిసి ఉంటే నేను చెప్తున్నాను. ఎవ్రీ ఇయర్ కంపెనీ నీ 100 రూపీస్ మీద 10 రూపీస్ డివిడెండ్ ఇస్తానయ్యా అని చెప్పింది ప్రిఫరెన్షియల్ షేర్ హోల్డర్కి. కానీ ఒక సంవత్సరం ఏమైంది, కంపెనీలో ప్రాఫిట్స్ లేక కంపెనీ ఆ సంవత్సరం డివిడెండ్ పే చేయలేకపోయింది. కంపెనీ డివిడెండ్ ఆ సంవత్సరం పే చేయలేనప్పుడు ఏం చేస్తుంది, నెక్స్ట్ ఇయర్కి వచ్చి లాస్ట్ ఇయర్ పే చేయాల్సిన 10 రూపీస్, ఈ ఇయర్ పే చేయాల్సిన 10 రూపీస్ రెండు కలిపి, రెండు అక్యూములేట్ చేసి బైండ్ చేసి నీకు 20 రూపాయలు ఇస్తుంది. దట్ ఈజ్ నథింగ్ బట్ ద క్యుములేటివ్ ప్రిఫరెన్షియల్ షేర్. ఐ ఎక్స్ప్లెయిన్డ్ ఇన్ తెలుగు. ఇన్ కేస్ ఇఫ్ యూ నోన్ తెలుగు, నో ప్రాబ్లం. తెలుగు వచ్చా రమేష్? సే ఎస్ ఆర్ నో. నోన్ తెలుగు వెల్? తెలుగు తెలిసి ఉంటే నో ప్రాబ్లం, మీకు అర్థమై ఉంటుంది. తెలియదంటే ఇంగ్లీష్లో ఎక్స్ప్లెయిన్ చేస్తాను. ద కంపెనీ hadn't paid the preferential shareholder the dividend in the year where the company is not having any profit. But in the next year, the company paid for both the years the dividend. That is nothing but the cumulative preferential shares. So we have discussed to the extent of differential voting rights. Ramesh, differential shares, differential voting rights are also getting well. ఓకే, థ్యాంక్స్ ఎందుకు రమేష్. నేనున్నదే మీకు అర్థం కాకపోతే ఎక్స్ప్లెయిన్ చేయడానికి. ఇట్స్ మై రెస్పాన్సిబిలిటీ వెన్ ఐఎమ్ టీచింగ్, వెదర్ ఇట్ ఈస్ ఆన్లైన్ ఫ్రీ ఆఫ్ కాస్ట్, వెదర్ బై టేకింగ్ సాలరీ విత్ అన్ ఆర్గనైజేషన్. నీడ్ టు ఎక్స్ప్లెయిన్ వెల్, దట్స్ ఆల్. అండ్ క్యుములేటివ్, ఆ తర్వాత ఓటింగ్ రైట్స్, డిఫరెన్షియల్ ఓటింగ్ రైట్స్ అంటే ఏం లేదు రమేష్, ఇది కూడా విను జాగ్రత్తగా. ఒక కంపెనీని నమ్ముకొని 1995లో కంపెనీ స్టార్ట్ అయితే పాపం ఆ రోజు నుంచి వాడు 1 crore ఆఫ్ రూపీస్ కంపెనీలో ఇన్వెస్ట్ చేసి ఆ రోజు నుంచి ఎవ్రీ ఇయర్ కంపెనీని స్టిక్ ఆన్ అయ్యి కంపెనీతో పాటు తన ఇన్వెస్ట్మెంట్ని కూడా పెంచుకుంటూ, అంటే కంపెనీని నమ్మి కంపెనీతో అట్టి పెట్టుకొని ఉన్నాడు. నిన్న జాయిన్ అయినాడు ఒకడు. కాబట్టి ఇప్పుడు ఓటింగ్ ఇచ్చేటప్పుడు కానీ, డివిడెండ్ ఇచ్చేటప్పుడు కానీ, ప్రయారిటీ ఇచ్చేటప్పుడు కానీ ఎప్పటి నుంచో మనతో వెన్నండి ఉండి మనతో పాటు ట్రావెల్ అయిన వాడికి మనం ఎక్కువగా ప్రయారిటీ ఇస్తామా, కొత్తగా వచ్చిన వాడికి అంటే ఎప్పటి నుంచో ఉన్నవాడికి. సార్ డిఫరెన్షియల్ ఓటింగ్ రైట్ కూడా అంతే. వెన్ ఏ కంపెనీ when a person is sticking on, a shareholder or investor is sticking on since long back to the company, definitely his voting capacity will be weighted more than those who comes and goes to the company. That is nothing but the differential voting rights. Now, bonus shares. Bonus shares will be discussed in next session. Next live lo bonus shares issue ఇచ్చేస్తాను. బోనస్ షేర్స్నే మనం ఏమనొచ్చు అంటే వాట్ వి మే కాల్ ఇట్ యాస్ బోనస్ షేర్స్ క్యాపిటలైజేషన్ ఆఫ్ ద రిజర్వ్స్. క్యాపిటలైజేషన్ ఆఫ్ రిజర్వ్స్గా మనం కాల్ చేయొచ్చండి. క్యాపిటలైజేషన్ ఆఫ్ రిజర్వ్స్. సో వాట్ do you mean by capitalization of the reserves and all these things? How the bonus shares will be issued? What is the right shares? All this will be discussed in the later stage. And thanks to stick on to me. And Ramesh, in case if you are still there online, my voice is good. Answer me. Audible. Good means I'm not asking whether my voice is equivalent to SP Balasubramanian or like that. Okay, then are you there online? Okay, I'm sorry, Aishwarya. Okay, Aishwarya, did you get the concepts very clear today? Let me check with you only. అండ్ వన్ మోర్ థింగ్ ఏంటంటే ఐశ్వర్య, మనం ఆన్లైన్లో చెప్పుకుంటున్నప్పుడు మీరు ఇంటి దగ్గర ప్రశాంతంగా ఉన్నారు, నేను ప్రశాంతంగా చెప్పుకుంటున్నాను. ఇక్కడ మనం హర్రీబర్రీగా చెప్పుకోకూడదు. ఇప్పుడు డిఫరెన్షియల్ ఓటింగ్ రైట్స్ అంటే జనరల్గా ఏమవుతుందంటే అండి, మనకు కాన్సెప్చువల్ క్లారిటీ ముఖ్యం. నాకు ఆ కాన్సెప్ట్ అయిపోయిందా, ఆ పేజ్ అయిపోయిందా అంటే నేను ఇక్కడ జీతానికి పని చేయటం లేదు, లేకపోతే అంటే జీతానికి పని చేస్తే నెట్టేస్తానని కాదు నా ఉద్దేశం. అక్కడ టైం బౌండరీస్ కొన్ని ఉంటాయి. ఇక్కడ మనకు టైం బౌండరీస్ ఉండవు కాబట్టి ప్రతి విషయాన్ని చాలా డీటెయిల్డ్గా చెప్పుకుంటూ వెళ్తున్నాను. అండ్ విచ్ విల్ బి వెరీ హెల్ప్ఫుల్ టు ది స్టూడెంట్స్ ఆల్సో. ఈవెన్ అట్ ద టైమ్ ఆఫ్ ఎగ్జామినేషన్ ఆల్సో ఇట్ ఈస్ వెరీ హెల్ప్ఫుల్. అండ్ okay, we will continue what do you mean by the bonus shares, that means the capitalization of the reserves, tomorrow session. Thank you.